Hey, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will take a look at the it's hard to say for me, LCYMN. Listen, so it is LCYMN. The brand is called LCYMN, and we are looking at a pure sine wave inverter, which is up to 2000 watts. And it comes with a remote display, which can be mounted away from the inverter and control the inverter, as well as it comes in an aluminum housing. In this video, we'll focus on this unit. Is it capable of 2000 watts? What else is it capable of? And how does it perform? I'll try to answer all those questions today in this video. So before we proceed, I took it already out of the box. So in the box, the inverter itself, we do have this remote display, which comes with a separate wire. It can be plugged in. It does come with those already connected wires over here, you can see. We'll talk about it later. And it also comes with this manual. It also comes with those adapters. It does come with an earth wire, a very small one here. They provide a wrench. And guess what? They also provide some spare fuses. And here you see everything, what's provided. And as always, I recommend you read the manual first before you do anything else to it. Before setting it up, because this is a 2000 watt inverter, I always recommend to have one of those resistors to connect this inverter properly to a battery. And that's what we're going to do in this video as well together. We'll show you that, how we connect everything, and then we set it up. And for this video, I on purpose have a battery which is a lithium iron phosphate battery, and it's there in the background, the black one. It's a lithium iron phosphate battery, 12 volt, and it is 200 amp hours. So that means there's enough power which can be used for this inverter that we can pull out 2000 watts at a minimum and continuously. So let's get started with that stuff. So in case you've never connected one of those inverters to your battery, I recommend you look at the 2000 watt in the installation and using methods section. And there's a side panel introduction, and here on this side we can see where's the positive and negative. And it should be the same like you can see here. The first step we'll do, and I've done that already, connecting the wire over here. Red for positive, and those are just to turn and tighten by hand. Negative down here. And one thing what I can already see is that this wire easily can be bent here. You see it down here with the black probably. There's maybe too much bend already, so those wires are crimped. How did someone call them? Butterfly crimp. So with normal pliers they were crimped probably, not hydraulically crimped, which would have been maybe a better fit. And we're dealing here with 25 square millimeter wires, so it should take up to 150 amps. Keep that in mind when you have a 2000 watt inverter, and when you use it with a 12 volt system, we'll need 166 amps for 2000 watt. That's quite important to understand. So I divided 2000 watt by 12. That's 167 amps. That's what will maximum, or should maximum, be flowing through this inverter. I do not know if there's a surge. There's nothing written so far. I didn't see anything that this inverter would have a surge, like a lot of inverters have those days. So first of all, as soon as you have connected here, and that's important, first and you connect the wires on the inverter. Afterwards, you do connect the positive, and before you connect the second wire, I would recommend you using one of those resistors, hold it to terminal and to the wire separately, wait a couple seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, and then you can connect it. Otherwise, you risk a little spark, and that means that there can be a lot of, depending on the battery, inrush current going towards the inverter, and it might damage the inverter. Keep that in mind. First, connecting here on the inverter the wires, and then secondly, connecting to the battery. And before you connect the second wire, use a resistor. I'll link this one, what I'm using here, in the description below, just in case you want to do that as well. Nevertheless, when you've connected the inverter, you can start it. In my case, I'm starting it here, And then we do have a display up here, which still has the protective foil on it. It shows you basic information about the battery as well as the inverter. In this case, I want to refer really quick to this page. I think it's page 8. And up there you can see it shows you digital display and remote control panel. So this is the digital display and there's the remote control panel. So what we see here in the display is the battery voltage, 13.4. Below we can see the battery level, just an indication of the battery. Then we have here the sine wave shape, that's what it says, and we'll measure that also in a minute. So here we can see a little sign which says 60 Hertz, and then it says up in the corner it's at 122 volts at the moment. And as much as I understand, we can even change this, and then therefore we would use this display. And when changing it, we can change it here with the middle button, depending on your appliances, but we can just keep holding it. Now it did change. Now it did change completely. What's happening at the moment? It says 0, so we need to restart. That means I'm turning it off, turning it back on. And now what's happening, or what should happen at least, and if we go up there again to this display, you can see now it says it is at 112 volts. I'm using 110 for my appliances mainly, but we have the option. It's not 240 volt, by the way. Below we should see here the wattage, what's the output watt, or the load power they call it. And then we have an internal temperature down here, as well as we have a little sun and a smiley, which is a normal operating state. And something we don't see at the moment, but there are other possible signs: inverter over voltage protection, inverter overload protection, inverter over temperature protection, and inverter low voltage protection. So when the battery is too low, and when the temperature is too high, or when we go above and beyond 2000 watts. And the display down here, it's turning off after a couple of seconds, so every time I hit on off, the display turns back on, right? But what else we can do with this one, when I keep holding it longer, it will remotely turn off the inverter. Here you can see it changed the state, so it's at fault and power is on. But when I push the button again for longer, it comes back on. And the display turns back on as well, which is pretty cool, I think, especially when you want to save a little power. It's kind of a standby mode. You know what we do? We'll see if we do have a pure sine wave in the current state. That means I'll place this one over here. Alright, let me see if I can get you there. So we just see here on the right side. Oh, interesting. Oh, the pure sine wave is not pure at the moment. Something's off here. So I'd say we'll add some load and see how it behaves, because currently it's not as it's supposed to be. Let me get you a little closer here. I think you can see it. I'll add some loads, or a load. We can see there's a lot of triggering around here, the sine wave. But also we can see down here in the display on the left, the voltage is dropping. We are pulling 600 watts at 111. I'll stop this very quick. Yeah, even at 120 volts we have some distortion here going on. Alright, let's see. Turn on the load again. We can still see there's some movement. It's still a sine wave, but it does have some distortion. Okay, what I can say in the meantime, I don't know if you saw it, but we do have the US typical outlets here, and then we have a multi-outlet in the middle. What I also haven't talked about yet, but we do have, of course, the on-off button. We have the remote here, which is connected to the display here, which you can mount somewhere else. And then we have a USB connection here as well to charge something or plug something in. And then we have also here the earth wiring, in case you want to use that one, in case you have something. So yeah, let's continue and see what else we can do with it. Alright, so we have 610 watt going out, according to the display from the inverter, 549. And when we look here, then we see it's 55 amps. 55 amps or 660 watts. So the red one here, that's what we're pulling from the battery. And what we're actually pulling out and receiving is 612, even though the display says 550. Let's see an increase a little bit. Here we have now 1200 watts. And we can see here on the right side, we do not have a super clean sine wave with 120 volts. Okay, so let's start at the battery. The battery, we're pulling out 127. 127 is 1524 watts. And we are receiving 1270 at inverter display, but in real it's 1290. Yeah, inverter and this measurement tune are pretty close by each other, so that's good. Let's increase. Now we're going, you can see it's it is a little short of 2000 watt. Huh. Right now we do pull, there are 55 watts, it's base load. Still 550 and 610 is actually what's coming out. So let me try to get up to 2000 watt again, but we'll change the load. We'll change the load to the heat gun, which is pulling definitely more. Now we have 135, which is 1600 watts. 1600 and we receive 1450. Pretty close. The inverter display and also the measurement tool. Alright. So this means we only have 500 more watts which we can use. What's nice, the inverter heats up, so it pushes on the fan and then it stops. We can see here on the display it says it's at 30 degrees. It's Celsius, so let me go to Celsius here a little bit. Celsius 28 on the outside shell. When I go in, and on the back it is 30. Yeah, there's a lot of movement. It still looks like a pure sine wave, but there are small bits and pieces dancing in and out, and then it's changing. Alright, let's double check with the base load, what the base load will look like. Here we have the base load is 27. Looks like 27, which is around 324 watts. Pure sine wave seems to be still the same, a little unstable. So 324 watts is the input. We have an output of 270, 260. And here it measures around 300 watts. Yeah, there's a little more difference, I feel like. Okay, let me add next load. Now we are at 92 amps, which is 1100, which is now 992 according to inverter, but it's more like 1020. Yeah, the higher it gets, the more close those two are together, which is good, I think. Let's change speed to get below the 2000, closer to it. Okay. So right now we're pulling 170. which is 2000 watt auto battery. You see the inverter, Pure Sine Wave is pretty good, stable, more stable than before. So 2040 we're pulling out of the battery. We have 1730, which is pretty, yeah, they match closely this time, which is nice. Stop this one. I did stop the load. It's above 32 degrees right now. Alright, we will do 2 more tests. One test will be pushing this over surge. Just want to push as much as I can and see if the inverter can increase more than 1800. That's one test, and the second one will be, we'll test the 5 volt USB charger. So let's go ahead with it. $180, yep. No, it's not over 1800, it's just 1700. Such a bummer. And you can hear as soon as it gets to 1700, it has to hold it. There's a little sizzle in here, so I'm not sure about that. Let's do one more time. Here you can see it will ramp up to 190 over 200 amp. Okay. It's not able to hold it. Right. Last time. This time I'll focus here on the actual output. Let's go. 900, 1300, 1700, 1800, 19, over 2000, 21, and cut. Alright. So we saw it does climb above 2100. It cannot even hold it, but let's see one more time if we can at least have the 2000 reached somehow. So that's what I would like to see. So we'll check out the display here. Alright. 290. Okay, it does ramp up. Now we are at 1200. Oh wow. No, it's failing massively. Okay, I think we are back to stable, if possible. 1300. Now we'll push it over the limits, I guess. Yeah, it's not reaching to 2000. Such a bummer. We did set it to 110 volts inverter, so you should be able to see it here. 112, 110, 112, good. There's load coming in already. It's about 56, 55. I hear already a little sizzle. Yeah. Wow. It's failing massively. Oh god, it's such a bummer. Couldn't even get this. Okay, let's see. Let's just stop. Let's just turn it on and see that it normalizes. And then we'll plug in everything else we need. No load, nothing. Can still see. I feel like it struggles with having a pure sine wave, because you can see all this distortion in between always. This little thing is coming in and out, or fading in and out. I'll try to give you a more clear picture really quick, because maybe you do not know what I mean. There's no load on it right now, nothing. And you can see It's jumping back and forth, right? This is just 55 amps. I can hear a sizzle already in the inverter. I'm pretty sure it fails. Yeah, there it is. Alright. I don't even want to test the USB anymore because I do not feel like it will lead to something. The temperature didn't show that it's abnormal hot or anything. It's just failing far below 2000 watt. Well, such a bummer, but this is a failed test in my opinion. I've not seen that coming so quick because the build quality is so nice and I really liked it. But since it does fail so quickly, it doesn't make sense to continue for me. So it's a brand new inverter. It's supposed to be Pure Sine Wave, but as you saw in the test, there are a couple issues with that. So let me wrap this up. So one last comment before I wrap it up. Those wires they provided with it seem to be big, but I do not like, I don't know if you can see that. Here, this one, it has a lot of flexibility to it. So when you look from the side, I can flex it down like this, and it's very loose, this entire shrink wrap. And that's actually with both sides, so this one's even worse. So I would highly suggest, in case you still want to buy one of those, highly suggest replacing those or just crimp on your own lugs to make it more secure and safe. Because they can get loose, I feel like, too quickly, which is really not good and you don't want to see at all. But those are my 2 cents regarding those wires. That's about testing this inverter. And unfortunately for me, it failed completely at the end. I did a couple tests. I definitely did push it to the limits, but I was never able to get more than 1700 just continuously, or 1800 almost. And as soon as it was at 1800-ish and more, it probably 3-5 seconds and I just quit working. It was with 120 volts, but also with the 110 volt setting. So that's such a bummer. For me, there's no reason to have those 2 ranges anyway. Maybe that's an issue. Also, the Pure Sine Wave didn't look like a Pure Sine Wave, which is easily to hold. There was a lot of, even without any load, distortion in between. So I didn't like that one to see, because I see other inverters which are not having those issues at all. So this is all I can say about it. I cannot recommend this inverter as of now. So if you have any questions next time, if you want to see something else, I skipped that USB test because it was just failing. Why should I test this? Because I cannot recommend it anyway. So let me know if you have any questions about it or if you want to see something else. Thanks for watching. Cheers!